Hi there, my name's Larry. I'm one half of Rebel Sonix, www.rebelsonix.co.uk. Check us out. I'm also one of the lecturers from the Garnish School of Sound in London. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction today into how to create wobbling bass sounds in Massive and also in Logic's ES2. So what I've got in this track, I've got a very basic kick snare pattern programmed in Ultrabeat, and I have a Massive instance just with the default patch. So I'm going to double click to open Massive, and I'll just play that. So there we go. First thing I always do when I'm using Massive is to go down to my envelope 4, which is hardwired to the amplitude, and I bring the level control all the way up to the top. So level in Massive means sustained. So what that means is I'm going to get a nice full consistent sound. Okay, cool. So Massive's a Wavetable synth, and the default patch is a square sawtooth patch. So that's a nice fat sound, but what I'm going to use is the setting called the scrapyard waveform. So I do that by clicking on the oscillator waveform selection drop down menu here. I'm going to go down to scrapyard, which is under digital stroke hybrid. So I'll click on that. I'll play that again. I'm going to move the wavetable position dial left and right, and you can hear it's going to scroll through the different waveform types. Lovely. So all the way to the right is a setting which gets used a lot in dubstep. Really kind of crisp and fat raw waveform to use. So the way we achieve a wobbling bass sound is to route an LFO to a parameter, usually the filter cutoff. So first thing I need to do is make sure that my oscillator 1 is going through filter 1. Or the filter I'm using. So I click on the filter mix control and drag all the way up to filter 1 here, and I now need to make sure that I have a filter assigned to filter 1. So I click on my drop down menu. I'm going to use the scream filter here, which is quite a kind of raspy filter, and now the cutoff of the filter is cutting at all the high frequencies of the sound, because the scream filter is a low pass filter. So if I move the cutoff up, I will be introducing it back in. Okay, so I've got quite a kind of resonant, screechy sound there. So I'm just going to adapt that by bringing down the resonance and the scream control. Cool. So I bring the cutoff back down again, and now I need to be able to route my LFO to my filter cutoff. So the way I do that is come down to my LFO 5. I'll click on that, and I'll click on the little crosshair tool just to the right of the LFO label. I'll click and hold, and I'll drag into the little slot beneath the cutoff dial. Let go, and I've now assigned LFO 5 to the filter cutoff. I now need to tell Massive how much I would like LFO 5 to affect the cutoff. So what I do is click on the little number 5, click and drag upwards, and now I'm giving Massive an amount. If I play that now, I've got a wobble. I'll bring it a bit high so it's a bit more obvious, and I've now got that familiar wobbling bass sound. So by clicking on LFO 5 down here, I'll be able to edit the settings for the LFO. So at the moment it's a free LFO. The rate is free. It's not synced to the project tempo. Okay. If I want it to sync to the project tempo, all I have to do is click on the little sync button beneath the rate control, and now I can assign the LFO to work within the groove of the track. So essentially it's going to be synced to the BPM of 140, and it's going to work within different grooves. Nice. So that's a very basic kind of wobbling sound at the moment. There's a lot more we can do to it from there, but I'm just going to leave it there because we have kind of limited time. The next thing I'm going to be looking at is beefing up my sound using Massive's effects. So within Massive we have two effects, FX1 and FX2. I access them by clicking on the little drop down menu next to the FX1, FX2 label. So I'll click on that, and I'm going to use a classic tube, which is a overdrive effect. So what it's going to be doing is introducing harmonics to the sound. It's going to be beefing up by adding extra harmonics. So I've got a drive control and a dry wet control, so I can decide how much I want to introduce the drive. Let's have a little listen to that. So you can hear with it off, when it's on, it's really introducing a bit of bite into that sound. So I'll take down the drive a little bit. My second effect, I have quite a useful effect, which is a dimension expander. So dimension expander, to all intents and purposes, is a very small reverb. So you can think of it as a very small reverb space. Now, reverb is great for setting a sound in a space. Very small reverbs are also very good at beefing up a sound. You'll hear that if you play a dry snare drum, then just put a very small room reverb on it. It will actually serve to beef up that snare drum as well. So it's the same principle when we're using the dimension expander in massive. So a lot of the time it's going to be very subtle, because you don't want it to be smearing the sound. So we have a small space and usually just a little bit on the dry wet control. Cool. So by using the classic tube and the dimension expander, I can really kind of beef the sound up quite a lot. So that is just a very brief introduction to programming the wobble sound in massive. But if you are a Logic owner and you might have just bought Logic and you don't particularly want to have to go and fork out for a new synth, all is not lost, because you can achieve a fairly similar effect in Logic's ES2. So I've got another track underneath here with an ES2 instance with the same basic patch playing F. I'll double click on ES2 on my inspector and I'll open it up. Now, I wish all synths had this, which is a quick way of getting to an empty patch. Luckily ES2 does, and we access it by clicking up on default up here to our presets, to tutorial settings, and then analog saw init. I click on that and I have an empty patch playing back a raw sawtooth wave. Now, many people don't know this in ES2, that if you bring the oscillator dial down to sine and right click on the word sine, you're going to be introduced to 99 digital waveforms that are in addition to the basic kind of more analog wave types that you get with ES1. So if I click on, just choose one at random, it's going to give me more of a kind of raspy digital kind of sound. I can click and hold and drag up and down to actually scroll through that list as well. Nice. So I'm going to be doing a similar thing in ES2 now, routing an LFO to the filter cutoff. So I bring down my filter cutoff, so I'm taking out all those high frequencies again. And you can hear we've actually got a kind of a decaying filter sound on there. Why have we got that? Well, a quick look at the modulation matrix will answer that question. I have envelope 2 assigned to cutoff 2. That's what's creating that decaying filter envelope. I don't want that, so I'll take it off. What do I want? I want LFO1 to affect the filter cutoff. No problem. So I know where I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be doing it here. Envelope 2's cutoff 2. I don't want envelope 2. I want LFO1. So I click on LFO1. Again, same as in massive. I need to give that an amount, which I do like so. And I've now achieved a similar effect to the one earlier in massive. Likewise in ES2 we have drive control, we have a resonance control, we have a nice fat setting for the filter, which are all going to again serve to beef up the sound. So I hope that was useful. It's just a very brief introduction to programming the wobble bass. We're kind of limited on time for YouTube, so I'm afraid that's all I can go into. If you are interested in what we've had a look at today, then you should maybe take a look at one of the courses on the Garnish School of Sound, because we go into massive and a lot of other synths in a lot more detail. I hope you found that useful, and I'll be back again sometime soon. Cheers for watching. Bye bye.